Morning. My name, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Jeff Mendelson, and this is the One Big Tip Live podcast. And for today's episode, I am so pleased to have with me Devin Miller. Devin was a guest on my show a couple months ago on the One Big Tip podcast. He is the CEO at Miller IP Law. He's also a serial entrepreneur that has founded several multi-million-dollar businesses. He also has founded his own patent and trademark law firm to help startups and small businesses. So, Devin, welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's great to be back and love chatting with you.
Thank you so much. So, listen, I was really, excited about our first conversation. Where we talked a lot about where it wasn't so much about like where I'm sure you could talk anyone's head off about IP law, right? Which is real important for startups and other businesses. You need to keep that intellectual property private. You need to make sure that you monetize it correctly. And of course, you need someone competent in order to make sure that it doesn't get into the wrong hands. But on on a more foundational level, we need to make sure that, we have a lot of details going in and out of our businesses at any one time. Right. And what's cool about that is that, okay, fine. We have this, we have the business where, we're talking to clients, we're putting out proposals and then we're actually doing the work that we're being paid to do. Right. Yep. And the real poignant thing that we talked about back then was about automation. Right. And I want to dive back into that because I think that has become now more critical than ever in order to automate as many parts of your business as you can, right? I was wondering if you could take a few minutes and just sort of, zoom out for a minute, talk a little bit about, what it is that you do, and then let's dive into the different parts of how you can make, your business run as much on autopilot as you can.
Yeah, and I can give a few ideas. So, backing up, I think one of the hardest things or biggest fears with automation is that people are worried it's going to be like the phone number you always call customer service. It routes you through the calling tree where you have to go press 20 different numbers. You finally get an individual, then the individual's wrong, and you either one or two things happens. They tell you to start all over and they hang up on you, or they transfer you to one person, they transfer you to another person, and the automation is a waste. You wasted 10 minutes of time giving all this information only to be transferred 5 times anyway. So I think that kind of is where a lot of people have an idea of automation in your head. Or alternatively, it's the one where you get spammed by a million emails all the time and they're not really relevant to you. They're written such that you can tell that, hey, this is an email that is just going out to the masses and it's just trying to get income or create revenue. And none of which is, in my mind, is a good automation. It is automation, but I think it misses the point. So, I mean, really, when I look at automation, it's kind of we are a high touch point, take Miller IP Law as an example, high touch point. We'd like to have the clients involved, let them know what's going on, make sure that they give status updates, that they know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how to do it type of a thing. And so a lot of those touch points, originally when I started Miller IP Law, it was just we were sending out, kind of templated emails or emails that were very similar all the time, but we wanted to make sure that people knew what was going on. And I kind of stepped back and said, why can't you take a lot of those things? If you're doing something repetitive over and over, sending the same email or similar emails, you're reaching out to them, giving them status updates, why not take that off the table by automation so that the things that aren't that aren't the same thing, that are customized, that really do need your time and attention, I can focus a lot more of effort on those. And so that's kind of, the high level started to say, okay, what are the processes where it feels like we're sending the same email over and over? How can we, even invoicing, how can we make it so that we don't have to always be waiting on somebody to create an invoice so we can automate that? And so I took a step back and said, let's see what we can automate, where we can make it so that it's not losing any of that personal touch or those touch points, and yet at the same time allows us to free up time. And that's what I think is always the balance that you're looking for.
It's interesting that you say that because, like stock photography, right? Automation can be a time suck if you don't do it right. Right. So, I use the reference for stock photos because every time you're looking for the right stock photo for a particular blog post or whatever, Next thing you know, it's 7 o'clock in the evening and you just burn through 150,000 images on Pexels, Unsplash, and Adobe Stock, right? So it's just crazy, when you think about how you're going to, how you're going to do, like how you're going to implement this. When you get into the automation part, the part the part that's really interesting for me is that it's not just a question, how much time does it really save me to create a folder on Google Drive, right? Let's just start with that, right? It really doesn't take that long, right? And to put it, to sub in the the date that it came in, or to create a document, things like that. All of these things are like 30 seconds to a minute each, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what they do is that when you pile them up, they just create this whole they create this whole system where you lost focus, right?
Yeah, that's what
Because
I think. It's the defocusing, because one, over a period of time, I think even those minutes add up quite a bit of time. And in the sense that, I as an example, I just took a vacation for a couple of days, over the weekend with the family and went and did that. And I have 150, 200, I don't know, several hundred emails in my inbox. And none of those emails take a very long amount of time, but they all take time to respond to, and they all add up. And if I were to think, okay, over a period of time, if I were to add that all up, I could free up my time to focus it. But then even more to your point is once you start to defocus, you have to jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out. And so it's not just a matter of 1 or 2 minutes, but now you're having to stop what you were doing, make sure that you find the right email that person, make sure you don't, even if you're using a template, that you don't put the wrong person's name in there or wrong information. And so it defocuses you, and then you have to jump back in. So I think, to your point, it takes even more mental strain and mental ability to jump in and out. Whereas if you can automate it, then it saves you that, and it makes sure it's done right. And I think that's the other main thing, is a lot of times, the thing that I always worried about is if you use a lot of templated emails, or if you try and say, okay, we'll do a boilerplate, is inevitably, no matter if you highlight it in yellow, you put big bold letters or anything else, you're going to miss somebody's name, you're going to put in the wrong information, and then it looks worse for you, because now they can definitely tell that you're not giving that personal touch. So if you do automation right, and you do have to put in a lot of time, or an initial more time and effort to do it, but it can reduce a lot of those errors that aren't doing or getting done. And it also, we found that it gives more touch points, in the sense that you're now able to or give them more information that they want, that, not spamming them, but gives them updates that you're not having to worry about. I have to laugh that some of the things that happen in the background, that somebody will give me a call or respond to an email and says, hey, I got your message, or I got your, we also have texting and Ringless voicemails and other things, but I got your message and your information, appreciated it. And then they'll start chatting as if I remember what it's about. And it takes me a second to look it up, or otherwise dive into it, because it's all happening in the background. I'm not having to think about it.
What's interesting is that I was just reading an article this weekend, and the actual article escapes me, but the real point of it is that top level CEOs that need to manage really large businesses, right? They all implement their different types of rules on how to do meetings, right? How to engage with them, right? So that they'll put up these artificial barriers, so that they are only working on the things that actually drive revenue, right? So meeting with a potential client, yeah, you need to show up and be present for that, right? Making the folder or the prospect document, or whatever it is, whatever administrative thing you need to do, before that call, maybe not as much, right? So that's something that maybe you can delegate out, or as the calls come in, or as the leads come in, as you're nurturing them, right? You can nurture.
Give me an example, because it goes right along to one of the things we do. So, because I think, and didn't mean to jump in on you, was we have an email. So we have people that, to your point, we have strategy, what I call strategy meetings, where somebody is going to schedule some time where they're going to be able to sit down with us face to face, or usually via Zoom, and talk about what they have going on. We do it for free of charge, in order to get their questions answered. One of the things that we did that was easy automation, but it was a time saver, is I was finding myself answering a lot of the same questions over and over and over again. Every time we do a strategy meeting, it's what is a patent? What's the difference between a provisional patent and a non-provisional? When do I need a trademark? And so I sent up an email. So once they subscribe to the strategy meeting, the day of the meeting, it automatically sends out an email, gives them information. Hey, this is just some cursory information to help you prepare for the meeting, so it's as productive as we can, and answer some of the general questions. I did videos and I implemented them using BombBomb in the videos, that they would actually have videos, so they get to see me in the email. They can click on it. They get that personal touch and the explanation. But then I'm going through and answering a lot of those questions that I know 90% of the people have. And then we get to focus on the other 10% of the things that are unique to them. And it increases the value of the strategy meeting and also shortens it, because we're not going over things that are and questions I can answer easily via the video before we have the live session.
You know, I'm glad you brought up BombBomb, because there are a number of these applications. So basically what BombBomb does, and I think there's Dub and like 2 or 3 others actually, right, is that they make it easy for you to record impromptu videos. Okay. Now, this is not for TikTok, right? We're not going to go dancing around in our kitchen type thing. This is to actually, have an impromptu conversation, because what happens is that when you send an email, right? Like, how many unread emails do you have? It's got to be in the thousands, I would imagine, right? Unless you're that good. I'm in the hundreds, but that's also because I sub a lot of stuff out into subfolders. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of them, right? What happens is that if you, if you look at your phone right now, how many unread text messages do you have? 0. How many unread voice or unheard voicemail messages do you have? 0. And that's everybody, right? That's everybody across the board. Text messages and voicemail have a 98% open rate, right? As opposed to your emails, which is, 10 to 15 on a good day, right? So what happens when you make those videos, right? And even if I've seen people that they'll hold up a sign because they play like a little animation thing.
So here's my whiteboard. I don't have anything written on it, but that's what I have that sitting out right on the desk that I use to hold up the sign.
Right. And that's really the cool part, because what happens is that if somebody sees that you're sending a video, they're like, oh God, they're going to spam me with a video right now. But wait a second, that video has my name on it? Nah. Right. Then ball game has been changed. Right. Because what happens, they're like, wait a second, this is personalized to me. I got to watch this. Right. And they're going to watch it nearly to the end. Right. And so what I wanted to focus on here. Right. So, we have this technology and it's great. I've also interviewed Ethan Butte on this program. He's the CMO, I think, of BombBomb. Really great guy. And, he's got, they really have a good streamlined product that does exactly what it says it's going to do. Right. When you put together these BombBomb videos, my big question for you is that is not an automatable process, right? First of all, you can't automate yourself, and you can't fake, you can't just say, hey, how you doing? Fill in the blank. So glad we talked today, things like that, right? It doesn't happen, right? So
I'll give it yes and no in the sense. So some of them, I do a lot of BombBomb videos that are live, that I write the name on the board. You hold it up, and first of all, you have to get over just a little bit of, you feel stupid the first time or two, but it creates that personal contact and that personal touch to where, hey, they're actually doing. And sometimes I'll write, what I'm going to talk with them about or what the message is, so they get a little bit of, because sometimes I send enough BombBomb videos to people that they'll even see multiple BombBomb videos from me. But I love the personal touch. I love it a ton more than just sending an email that is a lot more sterile, that doesn't have any emotion. But I'll start to write, hey, we're talking about trademarks or status update in the corner, and then it gives even further, hey, this is a reason to watch it. But you asked on automation, so I do a mixture of both. So you can take the link that the BombBomb is and also record it, because I like, hey, it's 30 seconds, or gives you that minute counter or however long it takes. But then it also will give you, I'll record the video, and it is still a static video or one that I send to everybody, but it's still a lot better in an email to have a video in there. They know you, especially if I've sent them other personalized videos or they've seen me other places, that I do a mixture of live and, recording and personalized. We'll also do some that are going to be mass set and sent out to everybody. And in those, I don't do the picture that I hold up, but I rather just will do it in generic. And I'll usually tell them, hey, just want to give you a heads up before we do that. This is a recorded video, but I wanted to give you a bit of information so that when we talk with you live, or so that when we chat, or that we can have a more productive conversation. And we found that that's still not quite as personalized, not quite as, direct, but it still gives a lot better open rate and gives people a lot of information. And a lot of times people say, hey, I watched your video. That was very informative. Thank you. And I'm thinking, well, I don't remember which video it is, but I'm glad you found it informative. The other thing that you've done that you've kind of touched on is, text and voice, certainly phone calls. we don't do direct, automated robocalls. What we do is called ringless voicemails, where you're going to do so voicemails or calls that automatically to go to voicemail and say, hey, I didn't ever see my phone ever ring. You can set that up, but we'll actually start to incorporate, especially in texting, some of the same things where I'll send out videos in a text to the link that they can then open it up on their phone and they can get that. So I think there's a lot of ways to start to incorporate multiple avenues that you have those different touch points and still doing a mixture of automation.
That's a really interesting tip that you brought up here. The ringless voicemails. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. So that's really something that's definitely something I'm going to look into. So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
And what we do is when somebody, whether it's a client or a potential client or somebody that wants to chat with us, we'll usually give them the option. Email isn't one that we give an option. That one's an automatic. Hey, we need to track your information. We need to log in. So that one's, as you sign up, but they'll say, hey, what is your preferred way of us reaching out to you? Would you like us to additionally send you a text when we're going to chat with you or to give you additional status updates? And we're fairly judicious. We don't just spam them. We don't send them a ton, but say, hey, we're giving you a status update or we're giving you a reminder or letting you know that some of them we just say, hey, we just sent you this email just as a reminder, go check it out. And it also helps there. And same thing with the ringless voicemail, just say, hey, just wanted to give you an update. We got this matter done for you. Please check your inbox to make sure that you take a look at that. And it helps people to know because you get overwhelmed with emails. And now even the worst part is you get spam folders and you get all these things that direct them. So half the time you don't even know to look for it because it automatically goes somewhere that you didn't even know was going there. And so that's kind of way that we've taken the ringless voicemails, text messaging, and incorporated that into our automation as well.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much for sharing that. So Devin, listen, can you please let everyone know how they can learn more about Miller IP Law? And I'll put your what do you call it? I'll put your LinkedIn on the screen. But can you let everyone know how they can learn more about you and reach out to you directly if they'd like to learn more?
Yeah, I'll give them a couple ways. Easiest way is if you ever want to chat with me about patents, trademarks, copyrights, business, or anything else business related and legal related, they can go to strategymeeting.com. Sorry, I had a frog in my throat. I'll say it one more time. Strategymeeting.com. And that links right to my calendar, gives them ability to sign up and for us to chat. So that one's one if you want to go in and chat with me directly, or if you want to talk about automation or anything else we've done, happy to chat as well. If you just want to find out more about us in general, check out our website, check out our prices, and find out a lot of good content, then just go to lawwithmiller.com as well. So strategymeeting.com if you want to chat with me, more general information, lawwithmiller.com.
Amazing stuff. Devin, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun. Just want to remind everyone that tomorrow, my conversation with Devin on the podcast drops. So be sure to check it out on the One Big Tip podcast. And Devin, thank you so much for joining me. This has been great.
Hey, it's been my pleasure, and I appreciate you chatting with me.